Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us today as part of our ongoing Epicor education series. My name's Steve Burns with Crawford Software, and today I'm joined by Orrin Colgrove.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
So Orrin is Crawford Software's Director of Customer Care, and he'll be giving the presentation today. I want to thank everybody for joining. This is something that we've been doing for a while, and we've gotten really good feedback. The goal of this is to provide some information on topics that we see when we're talking with customers, that customers bring back to us, that they say they're topics they'd like more information on. And what we do is a monthly webinar that highlights some different areas. We have different presenters from the Crawford Software team. Today is Orrin Colgrove in his expertise around order management. But they are meant to be educational. We put them up on our YouTube channel after each session. So everybody that joined today will get an email from me, basically with a link to the YouTube channel once that gets put up in a day or so. So again, thanks everybody. We've had really good response. There are a few folks still logging in. So what I will do is go ahead and launch just a quick poll. And we always want to know kind of from our customers, what functionality are you using? What functionality are you not using? You know, what appeals to you? What doesn't appeal to you? And that's why we put these quick little polls up. So please take a moment and answer that poll question. Also, just some housekeeping. If you'd like to ask Orrin a question, Orrin's going to be available after the webinar to answer your questions. There's a couple areas you can do that. If you look at your GoToMeeting box at the bottom, there's a chat box. There's also a question box, and you can ask questions that way, and we'll field some of those at the end. May not get to all of them, but we'll do our best. So looks like just about everybody has responded. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll, and then maybe we'll share the results and take a look at what we see. So excellent. So it looks like everybody is not using it. It's interesting. I thought we'd see some, but well, maybe today we'll learn a little bit more about it. So that's great. So let me hide that poll again. Well, before I turn it over to Orrin, what I'll do is I'll just give you a little background of Crawford Software and who we are. So just give me a moment. There we go. What we are is trusted advisors to customers that are either thinking about or in the middle of implementing enterprise resource planning. Our goal is really to improve efficiencies when we're working with Epicor customers. And you may be a new customer, and you may need help evaluating and selecting, understanding what modules you need, what's going to most benefit your organization. That's what we do, help you implement best-of-breed ERP software. And for a lot of work that we do with our existing Epicor customers, you know, we do a lot of business process review, really trying to get under the cover of their requirements. Like, how are they best going to need to implement Epicor, different modules, maybe look at business process improvement to gain efficiencies, certainly implement new modules as they become available. And we spend a lot of time these days doing upgrades. Lots of customers are obviously going from 9 to 10 and now 10 to 10.2. We do a lot of that work. We also provide first-line functional and technical support. That's a big piece of our business for customers that are looking, you know, to use our ticketing system and talk to our experts about some of the challenges they're having with their experience with Epicor. But ultimately, our goal is to show customers the best way to utilize Epicor to maximize efficiencies that ultimately drive profitability up and by driving cost down. That's really what an ERP system should do for your manufacturing environment. So how do we do that? Again, from a trusted advisor role, we have been implementing ERP for over 25 years. We've been in business for 17, and we've been an Epicor partner for 10. So what that means is we have customers that we continue to support today that our president and founder, Steve Carr, had as an independent consultant prior to starting this company. So that means that we are supporting customers a quarter of a century later, and that, to me, makes us a trusted advisor to our customers. We have 35 consultants around the world, and they are broken up into two major categories. One of them is functional. traditional manufacturing, materials management, product configuration, scheduling. We also have a very, very deep bench in finance, right, for AP, AR, GL. But also we dive at another level and have some deep expertise in asset management as well as CRM. And then on the other side of the house, we have the technical group. And that group does system design, setup, typical tweaking. And then we also do ongoing system monitoring and support. It's a really big piece of our business, is to manage the infrastructure that the Epicor environment runs on. We also offer a dedicated offshore team. Some customers want that cost savings alternative, and we give that to them. We have a dedicated team dedicated to Crawford Software and our customers that gives customers the flexibility to do things off hours. So if we're doing an upgrade, or if we're doing an implementation, putting in a new module, that can happen after hours. It can happen over the weekend, and that's been a real value to our customers. Also, one of the true differentiators about us from other partners is that we install and run every version of Epicor on our internal servers, all the way back from Vista and Vantage up through Epicor 9 and all iterations of 10. And that allows us to help customers when we're doing upgrades and such to perform that work on our systems, so that we can do the testing, the validation, right? We can iron out all the bumps before the go live date, and that's something our customers really like. And we also build standard solutions. So when we're out in accounts, we're talking to customers. Our customers are talking to us. They're seeing features and functionality that they would like to see. Well, we take that through a formal software development process, and then we release that as a standard solution available for sale to all Epicor customers. Okay. And the last one I'll put up before I turn it over to Oren. It's much more about Oren than it is about me today, but this is just a fun slide. It talks about our satisfied customers. So every year we do a customer satisfaction survey with our partner Inavero. And ultimately the goal of what we're trying to accomplish is to get a net promoter score. And all that really is, folks, is the customers that promote you versus customers that detract, or some issues, customers had issues with. And the higher the score, the higher your rating of customer satisfaction by your customers. And you can see that we had last year a 93% NPS score, and that's something we're very proud of. I think it lends itself to the fact of what we are about, as being a trusted advisor to you and to other customers. But you can see it's just a fun little fact that we're much higher than some very recognized names like Walgreens and Netflix. And that was fun to put up there. So that's a little bit about us and who we are. My contact information will always be at the end, but at this point, I'm going to turn this presentation over to my friend and colleague, Oren Colgrove, to take us through order management.
Thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate that. And as soon as he'll give me the presentation here, we'll go ahead and get started and drive this
coming over
home. And as the subject matter was features and functions of order management 10.2, we're going to dive a little bit in order management, but we're doing sales management. All of the pieces that you have underneath your Epicor product, you have sales management. Sales management includes all of those things that we're going to talk about today. For example, our CRM, customer relationship management. We're going to talk about quote management, order management, configuration management, product configurator, as most people call it. And then we'll have wrap up with some questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer those questions that you guys throw out to us at the same time. Okay, with that, we're going to continue on and go right into our customer relationship management, or CRM. That is one of the first things that is always on people's mind is CRM. I want to be able to get things out to my customers, my prospects, and things like that. Enhancements that they did with 10.10 in regards to that is with the contacts. Those contacts can now be shared across the entire application. You used to be able to have some of those there, with that without a problem. But now we have the ability to have that contact set, and they're able to be used all the way across the platform in the application itself. With companies going to that lean environment, you have more capabilities to be able to now have someone that's maybe in the workforce, which is a sales style person, but they might also be in the buyer side because you're leaning things out and you're working those out. So you put those together and can all be kept in one location. It makes it a lot better for the processing, and it makes it easier from a maintenance perspective to be able to process through there. And then in the CRM, we have that salesperson workbench tracker. The salesperson workbench is one thing, but then the tracker, as you all know as users of the Epicor product, those trackers are those inquiries. In the workbench tracker, it displayed all the information for that salesperson when you pull that up. Now, it only relates to the customer or customer records, multiple customer records if you select it. So if you're a salesperson and looking at that workbench tracker, you now have the functions to be able to look at your one customer specifically to see all the things that are associated that you have going on with them, or you can do multiple customers in place of having to drive through the old workbench where you saw everything all together. So a nice feature enhancement that was done with the CRM tracker on that workbench that they put together there. There's a couple of enhancements that they put into the CRM product itself. Moving down the list on the menu screen, you get to your quote management. And quote management has some new rules and enabling the user to determine the default line quantity as either a constant or on the first quantity break. So if you put your line quantity as the constant, it uses your expected quantity sets. Or if you use the quantity breaks, which is on that right-hand side of your screen, that as your default, it uses that for your expected quantities on your breaks. So it gives you flexibility to say, I'm going to base it on the constant that's always going to be like 1, or, if you always say that's always going to be 10, that's what the constant will come up with. Or it can happen based upon the quantity break side of the first quantity that you have set in your quantity breaks itself. Okay. We've added, Epicor has added a new checkbox for where the material costs are derived, and that's in your company configuration. So when you create the job from the orders and the quotes, which go to the orders, you can get the cost from inventory when that happens. That's a new checkbox that's under the company configuration, or it can come from the quote and the dollars that are driven there. You can also specify a miscellaneous charge on a quote line for material. How that can help you is in the build project analysis then, it differentiates between the materials flagged as miscellaneous charges, and it rolls those into your other direct charges quoted, and those not flagged as miscellaneous charge are rolled into the material quoted. So you have differentiation between those different types of miscellaneous charges that you can have on a quote as you're putting that together. Another piece that was put with that was the primary sales rep. That now comes displayed in the summary And you have the ability to be able to change that. Previously, it was not displayed at all there. Now it's there, and you can have that primary sales rep, which comes off of the customer record there, and you can change as needed, and it'll drive it through to the headers, the lines, and your percentages then, of course, come through as well to those. And you can have that primary be different on each line if you need to as well. They've added also a new conclusion sheet. And we've heard this multiple times from many customers that win or lose, we want to be able to have a place where we can define why, a reason as to why we won or lost it, and be able to put some narrative to that. That's been added, and now when you win or lose a quote, you can add that reason code, and you can put that narrative in. That comment is what we're calling the narrative, is a good place for you to be able to put some additional notes. But the reason codes then give you the ability to then do some analysis on each of your quotes and see why maybe you're winning some of these and why those losses are happening, and be able to change maybe some of the process or see what maybe your competitors have gotten on you. And so you're able to move that forward. Another big change in the quote management is they changed the layout of the quote form, and not the quote form output, but the form on your screen. They removed the manufacturing details tab, as it was called, and made it straight manufacturing. Then they took that manufacturing details that was in the previous release and put that under the details tab, which was under manufacturing, which is now under manufacturing. So all that old data that you have under that manufacturing details, if you're looking at doing the upgrade, that's now going to be under a different tab. It's going to be the third tab down when you go to do this. They've also added a revision sheet under that manufacturing. So now you see why they added manufacturing. So you now have those manufacturing details. Now you have the revision. That revision is a revision for the part that you are quoting. But one of the key things that they have in there is that lead time. That lead time used to be on the header. They've moved it to the revision, and that's typically like you would have in there. It's a freeform style field that you would put in like 4 to 6 weeks. You know, maybe you do an ARO. It takes 8 to 10 weeks. You're able to put that data in there, and yes, that can print on your quote form as well, just like they have previously. Also added another sheet for co-parts. And our manufacturing folks really like that from the perspective of they're able to have the co-parts listed there, as well as to what you're going to potentially get as the co-parts for the part that you are building. And then the finance people really like this because it then gives the customer, the prospect, the ability here on the tax sheet to have the taxes show up on the quotes and the quote lines. And then those, of course, can come out on the forms. So now the person getting that quote can see if they're going to be taxed and what the tax is going to be based upon their area and your liabilities and the things that you have set up. And if they are tax exempt, hopefully you'll see that and you know that, and you have all of course, the proper documentation to have them marked as a tax exempt customer. So that's with the quotes. Now we'll move to the actual order management itself and the order management section of that sales management. So we've got sales management, order management at this point. This dashboard that was newly created for 10 is on the projected sales order shortages. It gives me a proactive review of the sales orders, reservations, soft allocations, reservations that you've made, or hard allocations to identify those potential shortages of an order. I can't make this, and either make adjustments to your purchasing that you need to do or manufacturing, or even update the customer, let them know that I have a shortage, I have a problem, I'm not going to be able to make your need by date. Can we adjust that? Or on the manufacturing side, it gives you that look to be able to say, oh, okay, I've got this, I've got these requirements, and now I know I need to take and expand my hours that I'm doing work or shift people around to be able to meet the requirements in that. That's a big benefit from everybody working cohesively together and making the process as smooth as possible from your manufacturing side, for your sales side, but then also for the customer in the end. They've added the sales order payment schedule to the order management screens themselves as well. This actually comes from the account side as to what you have for the payment terms on the customer. And now I can, on a sales order, if I have a very good customer and they're always a net 30, they've asked for the ability to be able to say, for this order, I kind of need to do this as a 45-day payment. I can do that on this one-off order. I can change that payment schedule for them just for this order. I could also do a breakdown if I wanted to on payment schedules, and that so that I can do 50% in 20 days for you, and I need to do the other 50% in 45 days. If you've got a good customer relationship going and your salesperson's talking to him or your order management people are talking to your customers in relationship to this, this is a great thing to be able to do for them on those odd occurrences that they need to be able to do that. If it's a continuous basis, then they probably need to have a little bit more review done to them. I wouldn't think that you would want to do that without talking to your accounting department if you're in the order management area and making sure that that's going to work and it's going to be an acceptable method. The other thing is on RMAs. I can now create multiple RMA, one RMA, and have multiple credit memos requested off of that one RMA. So the customer is sending back 10 of the units that they have a problem with, and they've requested a credit for it. And now they want to send another set back. They can take and send back another set. You can keep it on the same RMA, increase the quantities, receive them in. You can also then request another credit memo off of that one RMA. Or maybe when they originally put it in, you were going to only give them a partial credit. You got them back. You saw that there was a real problem, and you want to do a full credit to them. You take and create another credit memo request for that same RMA. It's a great function to be able to do there. Capable to promise. I don't know how many of you use this Capable to Promise. It's a great tool to help you from an order management side be able to look and see things with your customers as you're talking to them, to be able to say, I have this. Now, yes, there is setup associated to CTP being accurate. So one of the things that we highly recommend is when you want to use CTP, to make sure that you engage with someone or you understand entirely all the pieces that need to go into play when you're setting up that capable of promise, to be able to use it and be able to have that confidence that when I give this date and time information to my customer, that I'm going to be able to make that. What they did was Epicor added a new available quantity field that displays the on-hand inventory quantity projected to be available. So it's taking away those allocations or demands that are already against that part. So you're not going to be thinking falsely that I have 100 of these units in stock, when really I only have 10 of them in stock, because I've got demand already out there for 90 of them and that set up. And then in the company configuration, or actually site configuration, not even in the company configuration, in the site configuration, we've got a new make to order and make to stock setting that can be used to specify if the CTP, if you're capable of promise, when processing your manufactured part or your make to order, on your make to order or a make to stock order release, if it should create a firm job, an unfirm job, or no job at all when you click that confirm button on your CTP. It gives, again, that seamless cohesiveness between sales and manufacturing. So then we're able to, I've confirmed this, and now if I have it set as a confirmed job, as a firm job, that job gets created and it's there. If it goes as an unfirm, then someone's got to take and do a review of it, which is, typically the type of things that we see is they go in as an unfirm job, so that then it can be reviewed by the production planners and that to firm that up and make sure that they're able to build that. And not a job, it just is standard. You then have to go and create the jobs based upon your sales order that you created. They've also expanded the scope of the CTP with a new part lead time checkbox. Again, site configuration control with 10, with CTP, with quotes and things like that, have had quite a few little checkboxes added in there, or methodologies. And this one is new part lead time. And so what happens is the CTP will take, if you mark that, it'll take into account the parts lead time as it goes and does the calculation for you for its capable of promise. And then on that screen, you have a past due completion date indicator. It's just a little indicator that tells you as a user that that calculation by the CTP function is past the ship by date that you have on that top. So you will not be able to meet that. So, and then if it is true, what happens is it adds another field that says how many days you're going to be past that date. So as you're putting that in, you now know, oh, I'm going to miss that by 3 days. As you're talking to them, you can say, Mr. Customer, we can make this in the 30th as opposed to the 27th. Is that okay? Or again, talking to your manufacturing group, maybe work things out and be able to meet that date that you need to ship it by, or look at potentially as another shipment method that you can get that out to them quicker to meet their need by. Discount price lists and the price inquiry. You hear discount prices and you go, no, we don't give them any discounts. It's the best way to, we don't have to give discounts to our customers. That's okay. It's on, we'll do them as one-offs. Your customers, you have discounts on them, but you have price lists and then you have discount price lists. And those discount price lists have price calculations that you're going to give discounts on specific parts or price breaks at quantities or by products. You might have it by a product group. Your discount price lists are different than your standard price list that you have for your sales. And this discount price list price inquiry gives you the breakdown of how you have that all defined. It sounds like a lot of price this, price that. Epicor's flexibility with price lists and discounts and customers is very broad and very deep and gives you flexibility for what you would like to do with your customers. Example, we have a product group that maybe is a Christmas style item and we want to put a discount price in there for an X period of time. We do it by the product and have it for an effectivity date set. This inquiry, this price inquiry with this gives you the ability to be able to see that real easily. So, and then they've added new fields in the price calculation to display the master price, then the discount price, and the calculated discount amount. So you're able to then, in one area, be able to see all of that information together. So also added in the customer tracker, again, coming back to those inquiries, it didn't exist before. Now we have that discount price list comes onto the customer tracker itself. So you don't have to go someplace else. You can see it right on the customer tracker if they have a discount price list associated to them. So you can associate a discount price list to a customer or across the board. You can do both sides. If you're using credit cards, and that now in 10, Epicor's payment gateway is a standalone payment handling solution that gives you that one solution and that you don't have to go outside and go to another methodology and go to another gateway, and that it all can be done right within the Epicor payment side and in your credit card processing. Something, if you're doing those credit card processes, something to potentially look at in using the Epicor Cloud Retail environment set up with the Epicor's payment gateway to do those credit card processes. Could potentially save you a little bit as well. But they've also added in the credit card processing the ability to mass void credit card authorizations. And it's only for pending payment authorizations. Typically you take and you are collecting the information and doing the things throughout the day, and then you process the payment at the end of the day. So it lets you be able to get rid of all of them at one time to amass. If you had a mistake in the process and everything was messed up, it gives you the ability to be able to do that, and then gives you the ability to be able to select and choose different ones as well, instead of doing them one by one. also enhanced the forms at this point. And as most all of you know, any forms that exist in the system, you probably have already modified them at some point or with something. But on the standard form, on the sales order acknowledgments, they've now included the tax information at both the sales order level and at the line level. So you see the tax that's per line on the sales order acknowledgement. It used to be just as the total at the bottom. The same thing on the pro forma invoice. So if you're using pro formas, you typically know that you're sending those pro formas out, that have their pro forma invoices giving information for what is going to be the expense points for what's going out the door. They include now on that pro forma the tax and miscellaneous charge information. And again, both on the sales order level and the line levels. That's a feature that is very beneficial because now, maybe your freight forwarders and things like that have the information that's going to help them as they move forward. But, it encourage you, if you've modified your forms, maybe you take a look at the current standard one and see if might be something on there that you really needed on yours. Maybe you don't have it, or maybe it's something you want to think about as you move forward with your forms. The next group that we have is configuration management or product configurator. In Epicor 10, that was entirely redone. It was entirely rewritten. It now has been centered around what is called the configurator designer. And that configurator designer has three major components to it: the configurator entry, the configurator designer itself, and then the rule entry. I'm not going to get into a lot of those, that information in regards to those, because it was entirely rewritten and we have done a webinar on that previously. And if you'd like a detailed review of that, you can watch the demo on our website, or you can even arrange a personalized demo of the new features and functionality of it. A very powerful tool, very quick tool, and a tool that is very good for customers that do that configuration. If you think about your cars that you buy, they're all configurated. They all have done a configuration of some point for them. With that, I would like to say thank you for taking the time this afternoon. And if you would like some additional documents, including some business process procedures, some tips and tricks, these webinar recordings, or even business process how-to videos, you go to our feed for that. That would be great. We would love to have you see those and see what we do here at Crawford Software. Visit our website at www.crawford-software.com/ERP-resources-Epicor. With that, I'll turn that back over to Steve. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Warren. I certainly appreciate the insight. It's always great to hear you talk on those topics. We did have a couple questions come up, and if you got time, maybe we can kind of run through a couple of them. The first one was around primary sales representatives, and the question was, can secondary sales reps be added for commission split?
Yes, they can. The system allows you to be able to have a few of them, and you can add them into any place, and you have both the percentages and you have the rates that go with them.
Great. Excellent. Another question that came in was around quote management when you were specifically discussing taxes. Does that show federal, state, local taxes, or just a tax total in general?
It depends on your configuration and what you have set up associated there. Typically, we see it as the taxes.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. And then the last question that came in from the group was around credit memos, specifically on multiple credit memos on one RMA. Is there any limitation to the number of credit memos that could be associated with one RMA?
Not that we have seen to date. Typically, we see a 2 or 3 has been the most that we see. Typically, you get them with 1, but you do have that occasion that you do need to do a second or third credit memo associated to it. Typically, like I discussed, was you're going to give them a partial credit, and you see that it was really bad, and you want to give them that full credit. So you do a second credit memo.
Excellent. Thank you. And thanks again, Oren. We certainly appreciate your insight. I want to thank everyone for joining us. These have been very educational. We've gotten really good response back, and they're fun. We enjoy doing them for our customers, providing some insight on topics that they're concerned about. So again, thanks for joining us today. And please visit our website. It's www.crawford-software.com for more information on lots of things, but specifically around upcoming webinars. You can see them at the bottom of the homepage. So the next webinar will be held on Wednesday, July 18th, again at noontime, and it'll be around new features and functions in Epicor ERP 10.2 for the supply chain functionality, a request that we've had from lots of our customers and prospects. So we'll look forward to that one. Also, all of these webinars that we do are recorded and then put up on our YouTube channel. You can see the YouTube channel there. What I will do is send out that link once this recording is up and available on the YouTube channel. I will send you an email, so send everybody an email letting you know that it's available if you'd like to watch it, or send the link out to some of your colleagues that are worried about order management issues. And then please feel free to follow us and like us on YouTube. It's certainly something that we continue to grow our presence around. So again, on behalf of Steve Carr, founder and president of Crawford Software, and all of us here at Crawford Software, I want to thank you for taking the time to enjoy Oren's presentation on order management, and we look forward to seeing you on July 18th for supply chain. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.